And welcome back to Cape Town and the sun just breaking through. I'm sure you can actually see that in your shot, and it is quite humid. It is feeling quite a bit hotter than it was earlier this morning, and all of the splendor for the SONA 2022 here at the Cape Town City Hall that has now been declared a parliamentary district. Joined now by Minister Lindiwe Zulu, and she of course is the Minister for Social Development. And Minister, thanks for your time. Welcome to Morning Live. This COVID-19 period of course has been huge for your department, especially with the distribution of the 350 SRD grants. How has that process gone in your assessment?
Thank you very much, Sakina, for the opportunity, and a very good morning to your viewers. Yes, it's gone extremely well from our point of view. Also, Sakina, we must not narrow it down only to the 350. We must recall that the President announced the 500 billion package that we needed firstly to do top-ups for all the other social grants. And I know that those that received the top-ups are still crying out for the top-ups because that was more money into their pockets, but that was more food on the table. But I think that from a Department of Social Development point of view, we don't only look at it from the point of view of the amount of money that we've given to the people. We see that money as money that goes back into boosting the economy.
Absolutely, and it's a means of livelihood for many South Africans, especially during the hard lockdown and subsequent down periods in the economy. Many people have lost their jobs and were really dependent on those grants. There were hiccups, however, and how has your department dealt with those? And just in terms of the disbursement that still needs to take place of people who are still awaiting the payout of those grants, where are we with that, Minister?
Yes, we've gone a long way in improving our systems, and I must be upfront that personally as a minister, I'm still not very happy, because the only time that I can be happy is when I see less hours of people standing in the queues, when I see a shorter time of turnaround period from the time that people make the applications. But I'm happy on the other hand to say that almost 90 to 95% of the people who apply have been processed, and right now we had a figure of 15 million people who have applied, and out of the 15 million people we've got 10 million people who have been approved. Where I say I'm not happy, it's about the turnaround time. When do these people get the money once they have been approved? That's the systems that SASSA continues to try and work on, considering, Sakina, also the fact that there was no plan to have a 350. And to put systems in place for paying of social grants, it takes quite a while. But I'm happy with the fact that we've got also budget from Treasury that is going to be enabling us to improve our systems. Because if you can't improve your systems, you can't respond to the people adequately and fast enough.
So let me ask about improving the systems. Why are we improving the systems at this stage, given that the 350 Rand SRD grant is supposed to come to an end by March? So does this mean that there are plans afoot for an extension of this grant?
We are hoping for that, because that's what the department has been advocating for from the beginning. And the reason why we advocated for it is simply because COVID-19 is still with us. Too many people have lost their jobs. The President refers to the 11 million people who are unemployed, and he refers to that. We need to give him answers about what must he do with the 11 million people who are unemployed. So we are hoping for an announcement, but obviously that's not for me to say that, because this is the President together with Treasury, and I know that they work up to the last minute to make sure that they cover the needs of all South Africans. We are also very conscious of the fact that it's not just about the social grant that is given. As a Department of Social Development, we believe that if more jobs and jobs can be created, you'll have less people that are entirely dependent on the state, and therefore the entire state of the nation is very important for us as a department, because we want to hear from a point of view of us as a department, what are we getting? but we also want to hear what the other departments are going to do from a point of view economic recovery and ensuring that the economy gets back to normal, because your ordinary people, they go out and hustle for themselves if the economy is functioning.
Minister, how many people are receiving social grants from the state at the moment?
18 million people are receiving social grants from the state.
That's, if you think about, if we have, let's say, around 60 million people in the country, we're looking at almost a third of the population.
Absolutely, and that is concerning, obviously, but we must not look at it only from the concerning point. We must also be able to appreciate, Sakina, that the grants are divided into different areas. You have the elderly, who there's nothing much you can do about them. They've reached the age, and the state, as a caring state, has made sure that once you are 60, you have to receive your grant. Then you've got the child support grant. Then you've got a grant for people with disability. Then you've got grants also for children who are in orphanages and all that. So it's always important to break it down and rather just focus on one, because sometimes people say, hey, we're spending too much money of it. But you must appreciate also that the majority of South Africans who never worked earlier on, or who did work, they only started working very late in life, and there were no plans for them to take care of their own pensions. Going forward, we think that ourselves as a department, the private sector and everybody, we must create the jobs so that we can enable people to save also for their future.
Minister, when you spoke about the money for the infrastructure that you need to continue to be able to pay and service the public that needs to have these grants dispersed properly, it also made me think about the basic income grant. And I remember we had a discussion some time ago. We haven't revisited that in a while. But with regard to that, because the reality on the ground is that South Africans, unfortunately, are not employed by and large. Too many people don't have a job to go to, even as we speak. So we have heard from many civil society organizations, many commentators, economists, who have advocated for the introduction of a basic income grant, whether universally or otherwise. So as a department, how far have you gone? Because the last time we spoke, I think you spoke about some document that you needed to dust off that was gathering dust in Parliament, and going through that, perusing it. How far is the department?
We're way far, and I must firstly thank the NGOs, all the non-profit organizations, and thank civil society who have stepped up to support this. And the reason why they're supporting it, these are non-governmental organizations who feel the pain of the people on the ground. They wake up with them almost every day, and they can see the importance of enabling people, one. Two, they've also looked at what the 350 has done for our communities. Nothing is so exciting for me when you get to a home and they say, there's 5 of us here who are unemployed. We pull the 350 together, and then we buy the necessities for the family. So the research that has been done, both by the department as well as other independent researchers, that is clearly stipulating what the 350 has done for people. It has propelled others to say, let us look at the basic income grant, because once people have the money in their hands, they are going to be able to wake up in the morning, go look for the job if need be. Some are actually starting their own businesses, which is very exciting. And then others have to go to different places at the coffee shops to go and just access internet and all. They go to the internet cafes. Once people have something that can move them, I think that they will move with the situation. And the basic income grant, we've gone past the process of here's a document, we pulled it out of the shelves. We had a debate in Parliament about the 350, and the basic income grant came in. We got the majority support for that. And I think what is important for me is the fact that even in the African National Congress, because we needed to go back there. It has been supported. Now the issue is, how are we going to do it? That's where we are right now.
So exploring the different modalities around this. Can we therefore accept that this is going to happen?
Yes, we can accept that this is going to happen. What the president has asked us to do, he said to us, be creative, be innovative, find out how other countries have been doing it, but it's got to be done because we need to pull people out of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. We need to empower people to power themselves.
And I think there can be a few arguments against that. So just finally, your wish list. How much would you like to hear when the budget ultimately comes out for your department? And starting tonight, what would you like to hear from the president?
Of course, I'd like to hear the president speak to the broader picture of economic development, economic reconstruction, because even if we are to get that basic income grant, we can only get the money, if the economy is operating. I want also to hear the president talk about how we are going to be able to create those jobs. I'd like to hear the president, of course. The most important thing is I'd like to hear what's going to happen to the 350, because I'm hoping that it's going to continue. The people are looking out for it. And we can promise South Africans from a Department of Social Development that we want people to be empowered. So even if they get the 350, we're going to look at how else can they be empowered through job creation.
Minister, good speaking to you, and we will all be watching, and hopefully we'll have you back on Morning Live to expand post-SONA and post the budget in terms of what will happen going forward.
I'm also hoping that you'll have to look at the people who are going to be strutting their stuff here and ask them, did they buy from local designers or not?
This is local.
Great.
And I know you're always local.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Minister Lindiwe Zulu, of course, the Minister of Social Development in South Africa. And as you heard there, that the basic income grant is, of course, going to be implemented in South Africa. At the moment, they are exploring modalities around this, how best to go about implementing it, looking at what is happening in other countries and the best approach for South Africa when it comes to basic income grant. So that's what we take away from that particular interview with the Minister of Social Development.